I chased Clara for 7 years, doing every absurd and outrageous thing imaginable for her. After my father's death and my mother's descent into madness, I fell from the heavens into the gutter, stripped of all the resources that had fueled my flamboyant life. On the day Clara got engaged to the man she loved, everyone was tense, bracing for me to crash the party. But I never showed up, not even when they exchanged rings. She grew restless, her eyes constantly darting toward the entrance. What she didn't know was that the day before her engagement, I had grabbed the arm of the woman I once so cruelly humiliated and rejected. I can't get you the $10,000 for the damages. Lila's eyes, unchanged by time, looked deeply into mine. You can't, huh? Well, then you can just pay me back with your body. The day I moved my mother out of the villa, many people from my old circle came to watch the spectacle. We didn't have many belongings, but it was too much to carry by hand. It was our old housekeeper, Mrs. Henderson, who couldn't bear to watch and had her husband bring a pickup truck to help us out. I settled my mother in, wrapping her carefully in a blanket before squeezing myself into the small gap between the luggage and a dog crate. The truck had just started when several luxury cars surrounded us. Julian Carter, look how far you've fallen. Well, if it isn't the great young master, looking like a stray dog. Where are you moving to? The penthouse at 1 Beacon Court. Don't be ridiculous. That's Clara and Noah's new place. What right does Julian have to live there? I shrank into the narrow space as the piercing laughter washed over me, my eyes downcast, and my face a mask of indifference. In the months since my family went bankrupt and my father jumped to his death, I had tasted the full spectrum of human nature. The once proud young master was nothing but a useless, pampered brat without the Carter family and my father. My spine had been easily shattered, one vertebra at a time. What were mockery and cold words? It was the formerly close uncles who, tearing off their masks of benevolence, revealed their vile and lecherous true selves that truly disgusted me. But right now, what I feared most was Clara's revenge. I had once used my family's status to force her to be with me, causing her true love to flee the country. She despised me, hated me to the bone. And as if on cue, the laughter suddenly stopped. I trembled as I looked up and saw her. Noah stood by her side, her arm linked with his. Her gaze was gentle when she looked at him, but when it turned to me, it was filled with nothing but cold contempt. I huddled in my small space, trying to meet her gaze calmly, but my hidden hands were clenched so tightly that my palms were bleeding. 10 days ago, someone had beaten me up, 7 or 8 slaps that left my face swollen and a tooth loose. Would Clara have someone beat me? Would she slap me hard, or scar my face to vent years of resentment? Julian, she said, my name coolly on her lips. As you can see, Noah is back. If you ever bother me or hurt him again. My face turned pale. Clara, I told you the day my father died. We're over. I will never bother you again. A flicker of something crossed her face, but someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, what an act! He was so high and mighty when he was rich, and now that he's broke, he's playing the part of a fragile little victim. He really knows how to bend. Clara, don't believe a word he says. Don't go soft on him. Yeah, how many times has he lied to you over the years? If it weren't for his schemes, Noah wouldn't have had that accident 3 years ago. Stop it, Noah said, his face pale, clearly still shaken by the memory. Clara's heart ached for him. Noah, it's all in the past. But Clara, I'm afraid it will happen again, Noah said, glancing at me before quickly looking away. Clara shielded Noah behind her, her eyes turning to ice as she looked at me. Julian, remember what you said. If you dare pull any more tricks, I will not spare you or any living member of the Carter family. The spring rain had been falling for half a month without a break. The dilapidated rental house we lived in started to leak. My mother had a sudden breakdown, crying, throwing things, and screaming. I had just gotten back from my part-time job and was too exhausted to stop her. She ran out into the rain. By the time I found her, she had already caused a disaster, smashing the front door and windshield of a car, screaming hysterically, Ethan, this is your father's car. Your father is a bastard. He doesn't want us anymore. He has another woman in his car. Then she broke down wailing like a child. She lay on the ground crying, and I stood in the rain crying with her. My father had spoiled her for her entire life, and he had spoiled me for 23 years. And now he had just abandoned us. The car's damages would cost at least $10,000 to fix. I couldn't afford it. The driver's face grew grim. Sir. Just then the rear window of the car rolled down. In the flickering street lights and the fine mist of rain, with the glittering towers of the city's decadent heart in the distance and the sewage-strewn slums at our feet, a multi-million-dollar car sat silently, cutting this fractured world in two. The once great young master now stood ragged and pathetic in the rain, while the once shy and poor girl now stood on a pedestal. When Lila looked at me, I didn't even recognize her at first. Miss, could I please ask for some time? I promise I'll pay you back as soon as I have the money. How much time? Lila's gaze landed on my face, her voice a cool, unfamiliar tone, yet it seeped into me like the gentle spring rain. Tell me, Julian. Her skin was pale, her eyebrows dark, a small brown mole accenting the corner of her eye, a perfectly straight nose and full, beautiful lips. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Now she looked at me, her expression almost gentle, but the moment she said my name, I felt as if I had been plunged into an icy abyss. So this was karma. My mother's sobs continued intermittently, and I snapped back to reality. I took a slow step forward, mustering all my courage, my voice trembling slightly. I can't get you $10,000, Lila. 3 months. No, 6 months. Is that okay? The driver standing outside the car seemed to freeze for a moment, then moved to pull me away, but Lila stopped him with a slight raise of her hand. The driver hesitated for a second before tactfully stepping back and dispersing the onlookers. Suddenly, it was quiet, so quiet that all I could hear was the sound of our 2 breaths tangled together. You can't, huh? Well, then you can just pay me back with your body. Pay you back with my body. I stared wide-eyed, instinctively trying to pull my hand back, but she reached out and gripped my wrist. Lila's gaze slid from my face down to my fingertips. My hands, which had never known a day of hard work and were once finer than a girl's, were now covered in cuts and calluses. My nails were short, the tips raw with broken blisters. She frowned slightly. You're not willing, are you? The reality of the situation slowly dawned on me. This was no coincidence. Even if I produced $10,000 tonight, there would be a $20,000, a $200,000 debt waiting for me in the future. This was the consequence of my youthful ignorance, a debt I had to repay. There was no escape. But how many times do you think would be enough? I bit my lip, thinking for a long, humiliating moment. I vaguely remembered one of Clara's friends drunkenly mentioning she had paid a clean college boy $2,000 for his first time. The shame was overwhelming. My voice was so low it was almost inaudible, 5 times. Is that okay? I glanced quickly at Lila. Her brow seemed to furrow even deeper. A self-deprecating smile touched my lips. Did I still think I was worth something? If that's not enough, then you name the price. Whatever you say. The grip on my wrist suddenly tightened, then just as abruptly released. Lila looked away coldly. 5 times it is. Starting tonight. But my mother. Lila didn't look at me, but her voice held no displeasure. Someone will take care of her. I was taken to Lila's new place in New York. When I came out of the shower, she was standing on the balcony in a bathrobe. Hearing my footsteps, she turned around. Julian, I didn't force you to come here. I stood still for a moment before speaking softly. I agreed to it myself. Because Clara is getting engaged. Are you acting out of spite? I looked at her confused. What are you talking about? Lila watched me for a moment, then smiled faintly. Never mind. I was a bit dazed. I thought I'd heard something about Clara and Noah getting engaged, but now my heart felt nothing, just a dull ache. Lila brushed the damp hair from my face and gently cupped my chin. I snapped back to reality and shook my head forcefully. Lila, she and I are over. Her life has nothing to do with me anymore. Really, I swear it's true. I'm not that pathetic. Lila suddenly tilted her head up and kissed me. For a brief second, my head spun. If the scent of youth was the soap on a white shirt, then Lila's was the longest-lasting fragrance. How else could her scent, after 7 years, still be so clean and crisp, just like it was back then? Julian, don't you know how to kiss? Close your eyes. Lila's dry hand covered my eyes, plunging my world into darkness. In the dark, I gradually took the lead, the kiss growing deeper and more passionate as I lifted her into my arms and carried her to the bedroom. My mind was still reeling with a ridiculous thought. I really didn't know how to kiss. When I entered her, she cried out in pain. I froze, stunned. Lila's tears streamed from the corners of her eyes, dampening her hair. Julian. She wrapped her slender legs around my waist, urging me on through the pain. Just keep going, or it'll just hurt all over again. But I didn't continue. I leaned down and kissed her with incredible gentleness. Lila, I'll be gentle. Tell me if it hurts. Will you stop then? Lila asked, her eyes wet and shimmering. In that moment, she looked nothing like the powerful businesswoman of rumors, but fragile and helpless. I couldn't help but kiss her forehead again. I will. The day of Clara and Noah's engagement was bright and clear. Her friends were on high alert, ready for me to storm in and cause a scene. When Clara emerged in her gown, she instinctively glanced toward the hotel entrance. Don't worry, Clara. We've got it all handled. We won't let Julian ruin anything. Yeah, there are at least 6 guards at every entrance. There's no way he's getting in. Good. She glanced at the entrance one more time. I'm going to check on Noah. You guys keep an eye out. You can count on us, Clara. Clara turned away and pulled out her phone. There were plenty of calls and messages, but not a single one from Julian. It seemed he had really learned his lesson this time, and he was certainly more patient than before. She remembered how he used to swear he'd leave her alone, only to come crawling back shamelessly within a week at most. This time, it had been 15 whole days. The ceremony was about to begin. Clara pushed her thoughts aside and looked toward Noah, who was walking toward her. Their engagement was a grand affair, with media broadcasting it live. Julian was probably watching the live stream right now. As the ring exchange approached, and still nothing had happened, Clara started to feel agitated, her gaze repeatedly flicking to the entrance. The 6 guards stood there stern and vigilant, a sight that suddenly seemed almost comical. She took the ring box and, under Noah's expectant gaze, took out the ring. As she was about to place it on his finger, she couldn't help but look at the entrance again. Still no sign of Julian. Liam. Noah whispered her name. She turned back to him. His fingers were long and clean, clearly having never seen a day of hard work. For some reason, she suddenly thought of Julian's hands that day. He who was always so particular had never had such ugly hands. But this was all his own doing. Who told him to be so shameless and persistent? Still, if he had truly changed and would stay out of her and Noah's life, she would be willing to give him a lot of money to make his life a little easier. Just as she was thinking this, a commotion erupted outside. Could it be Julian? Here to crash the wedding? He dares? I'll be the first one to take him down. A few of her friends on the floor rolled up their sleeves. Clara didn't even realize she was smiling. Mike, Josh, go see what's happening. If it's Julian, throw him out. And listen, don't worry about being polite. Clara watched her friends go. The commotion outside grew louder, and the guests started craning their necks to see. Noah felt an indescribable unease. He looked at Clara. The restlessness was gone from her face, her whole demeanor seeming to have calmed. A strange thought crossed Noah's mind. Did Clara really hate Julian? Why did he feel that? Deep down, she was almost hoping he would come and cause trouble. Clara, should we exchange the rings first? Noah prompted gently. Clara glanced at him, her eyes still gentle, but she didn't nod. Not yet, Noah. Let's wait until they've handled things outside. But I don't want anything to mar our engagement. Noah had no choice but to agree. Clara, a friend, hurried back, his expression strange. What is it? Is Julian making a huge scene? The friend shook his head. It's not Julian. He's not here. Clara's expression darkened in an instant. The fingers hanging loosely at her side suddenly clenched into a fist. Then who's making all the noise? It's Julian's mother. His mother? Clara suddenly let out a breath of relief and scoffed. Everyone knew Julian's mother wasn't well mentally. Julian must be truly desperate to use his own mother as a pawn. But then again, it was something he was capable of. Clara, maybe you should go take a look. The friend sighed, his feelings complicated. Though they disliked Julian and had been quick to kick him when he was down, they had known him for years. And Julian's mother, who had been such a gentle and beautiful woman, was now a shadow of her former self, which was a bit sad. It was as if Clara had been waiting for those words. She immediately placed the ring back in its box, not even bothering to say a word to Noah before walking off the stage. Noah, standing there in his expensive suit and holding the bouquet, could no longer maintain his smile. His face turned stiff with embarrassment and humiliation. He watched Clara walk away without a single glance back and finally lost his composure, throwing the bouquet to the ground. "Clara, you're here." The woman who had been stopped by the guards seemed to have specially dressed for the occasion, showing no signs of her mental instability. She smiled gently when she saw Clara. "Mrs. Carter, did Julian send you?" Julian's mother waved her hands. No, Clara dear. I saw on TV that you were getting engaged and came on my own. I know it's rude." Clara's attitude was decent enough. "I'm sorry, ma'am. It was my mistake for not sending you an invitation. I know it's not your fault. Our Julian has been a lot of trouble for you all these years, hasn't he?" Julian's mother looked at the young woman before her, dressed in a beautiful gown, about to marry the man she loved. In this brief moment of clarity, she felt a pang of sorrow for her son, but also a sense of helplessness. "Mrs. Carter, what is it you want to say?" Clara frowned slightly. Nothing that had happened today was what she had imagined. Julian really hadn't come, but his mother had. She had initially thought it was Julian's doing, sending a mentally unstable person to ruin her engagement, but now something still felt off. "It's like this, Clara. Julian once gave you a watch. That watch was a wedding gift from me to his father, and his father later gave it to him to give to his future wife, to be passed down through the generations. Julian was young and foolish and gave it to you. But now that you're marrying Noah, it's not appropriate for you to have it. Sophia, his father passed so suddenly, and we don't have much left of him. I'd like to have that watch back as a memento." Clara slowly lowered her gaze to her left wrist. The watch was still there. The day Julian gave it to her, he had been so proud and arrogant, forcing her to wear it every day and never take it off. After they broke up, she should have taken it off and thrown it away long ago. She told herself she was just used to it, after wearing it for 3 whole years. As Clara thought this, an inexplicable emptiness filled her. She unclasped the watch, but just as she was about to hand it to the expectant woman, she pulled her hand back. "Ma'am, it's not that I can't part with it. It's just that Julian gave it to me, so you should have him come and ask for it himself." With that, Clara put the watch back on. "Ma'am, you should go home now. I have to get back to my ceremony." Clara had already turned and was striding back into the hall. Behind her, she could hear crying and shouting. His mother must be having another episode. An inexplicable frustration welled up inside Clara. She waved over her assistant. "Postpone the engagement. Take care of the guests." "Miss Thorne," the assistant said, shocked. Clara frowned impatiently. "Just do as I say. I'll handle the elders." She took out her phone and dialed a number, but it didn't go through. Julian had blocked her. Clara let out a humorless laugh. She borrowed a friend's phone and tried again, only to find she was blocked there too. If she wasn't mistaken, Julian had probably blocked everyone from their old circle. Clara called over a waiter, borrowed his phone, and this time the call went through. A moment later, someone answered. I was lying on the bed, too tired to even open my eyes when the phone rang. Lila was in the shower. I grabbed the phone and answered without thinking, only to hear Clara's voice. I was a bit surprised. I checked the time. Shouldn't she be in the middle of her engagement ceremony? "Julian." Clara's voice was low, laced with an unexplainable annoyance. "You knew I was getting engaged to Noah today, so you deliberately sent your mother to cause a scene, didn't you?" "My mom." I shot up, all sleepiness gone. "What happened to my mom? Where is she now? Still playing dumb?" "She's not well. If you were watching her properly, how could she have run off to my engagement, Julian? She's here making a scene, and she's ruined my entire ceremony." Clara let out a cold laugh over the phone. "Julian, what are you going to do about this?" "I'll be right there." "Clara, please, for the sake of how well my mother used to treat you, don't make things difficult for her. Don't hurt her, okay? I won't disrespect an elder, but Julian, you owe me an explanation for today, okay? I'm on my way now. I'll give you an explanation. You know the place." Clara hung up. I quickly searched online, and when I saw the name of the hotel in the news, I froze for a second. The hotel where she and Noah were holding their engagement was one I had talked about with her countless times, my absolute favorite. But I quickly pushed the thought away. It had nothing to do with me anymore. Even if they got engaged on Mars, I would just smile and congratulate them. I got dressed, grabbed my phone, and was about to leave when Lila came out of the bathroom. Seeing me about to go, her expression darkened. "Julian, where are you going?" "Something's come up with my mother. I have to go take care of it." "I'll drive you." I glanced at her wet hair. "There's no time. I have to get there now. I wanted to ask her why she had said she would take care of my mother last night, only for her to end up at Clara's today. But then I thought, my mother's mental state made her difficult to watch. I hadn't been able to keep an eye on her myself, which is how she got into trouble last night. My people were looking after your mother last night. If something happened, I'm also responsible. Lila put down her towel. Give me 3 minutes to get dressed. Hey, Lila, I wanted to say I could just take a cab, but she had already dropped the towel and was getting dressed. I stared for a few seconds before snapping back to reality and covering my eyes. Let's go. Lila quickly dressed and grabbed her car keys. Your hair is still wet. It's fine. Let's find your mother first. I looked at her dripping hair and subconsciously pursed my lips, but maybe she was just feeling responsible because her subordinate had messed up. Aren't you coming? Lila looked at me. I quickly followed her out of the room. Lila drove fast but steady. Besides her obviously more mature and composed appearance and aura, she hadn't changed much, still not one for jokes, always focused and serious. Back then, my arrogant younger self disliked her bookish type who didn't know how to have fun. Clara and her friends didn't like her either, always saying she was pretentious. At that time, I only had eyes for Clara. If she disliked Lila, I naturally hated her even more. Looking back, I was the one who bullied her the most. A foolish, single-minded idiot. Thinking about it now, it felt like I had been under a spell. If I were in Lila's shoes, I wouldn't have been able to swallow that insult either. I would have wanted to get my revenge. With that thought, I secretly resolved that no matter what she did to me during this time, I would endure it, obey her, and accept it all as my penance. When we arrived at the hotel, I stopped Lila as I was getting out of the car. I can go by myself. I didn't want to drag Lila into this mess. Even if she was different now, there was no need for her to make enemies with Clara and her circle. After all, she was alone, while Clara had the Thorne family and their extensive network behind her. Lila looked up at me. Julian, am I someone you're ashamed to be seen with? That's not what I meant. Lila, this has nothing to do with you. I just don't want you to get involved. You don't want me involved now? Isn't it a bit late for that anyway? This time, you'll listen to me, okay? We wouldn't have a deep connection. Once the debt was paid, we would both return to our own worlds with no further ties. Call me if anything happens. Lila didn't insist. I hurried out of the car, not knowing that the moment I closed the door, the woman inside's face darkened, only to be replaced a moment later by a faint, self-deprecating smile. When I got there, my mother was still crying and making a scene. When she saw me, she immediately broke free from the people holding her. Julian, I just wanted to get your father's watch back. I wasn't making trouble. I gently hugged her. I know Mom is being so good right now. It was Clara who wouldn't give it to me. That's why I cried. My mother gripped my hand, looking incredibly wronged. It's our thing. Why won't she give it to me? Okay, you sit here for a bit. I'll go talk to her. Okay, I'll be good. After calming my mother down, I turned to Clara. She was frowning, clearly displeased. I could understand. The person she had longed for was finally within her grasp, only to have the engagement ruined. Miss Thorne, I apologize on behalf of my mother. If necessary, I can also apologize to Mr. Noah. My tone was sincere, my attitude serious. No matter what, this was our fault. What good is an apology, Julian? My engagement was ruined by your mother. Do you know how long I've waited for this day? Clara's gaze was fixed on my face, not moving for a second, as if she didn't want to miss a single micro-expression. Then how do you want me to compensate you? Do you have anything left to compensate me with? I was at a loss for words. After a long moment, I said, Miss Thorne, how do you want to resolve this? Tell me, and I will do my best to make it happen. Clara looked down at me. Julian, you deliberately ruined my engagement, and now you're putting on this act. Is it fun? You've pulled all sorts of stunts over the years, and I've put up with all of them. Now that your family is in this state, what right do you have to cause trouble? Clara, I've said it many times. We are over. I apologize for the past, and I will never appear before you and Mr. Noah again. You don't appear, but you send your mother. It's the same thing, isn't it? I didn't send her. Do you think I'd believe you? I can't help it if you don't believe me. I didn't want to waste any more time arguing. I'm taking my mother home now. As for the watch, please let me know when you've decided what to do with it. Julian, have you no shame? You ruined a perfectly good engagement, and now you want to just walk away? Life isn't that easy. Clara's friends surrounded me, all of them filled with righteous indignation. What do you want? Why don't you kneel to Noah? He's heartbroken right now. You don't have money to compensate for the damages, and Clara doesn't need your pocket change. I took a deep breath and looked at Clara. Is that okay? Will you give me the watch if I do that? Clara's face was strangely grim, but she didn't object. Fine, I'll do it. I turned to the group. Please take me to Mr. Noah. Noah is coming over. Kneel right here, so everyone can see and he can feel better. Noah's face was dark. The moment he saw me, his emotions flared, his eyes turning red instantly. I glanced at my mother sitting quietly in the distance, hoping she wouldn't see me at my most pathetic. Can my mother leave first? I don't want her to see this. No. Please escort Mrs. Carter out. Clara, however, agreed. Thank you. I was genuinely grateful to her. Mr. Noah, I said, looking at him, I apologize to you. But Noah spoke first. Julian, kneel before me. How will that make me look? Why don't you just bow and apologize? That's letting him off too easy. Yeah, why should you be so magnanimous when he's done so much wrong, Noah? I didn't want to waste any more time. Kneeling wouldn't cost me anything. I just wanted to end this farce and take my mother home. Mr. Noah, I apologize on behalf of my mother. I took a deep breath and slowly bent my knees. Julian. For some reason, Clara suddenly rushed forward, grabbed my arm, and pulled me up. Who told you to kneel, Julian? Are you so willing to debase yourself? Do you have no dignity? Do you ever want to show your face in New York again? I pushed her hand away and stepped back. Miss Thorne, is this enough? Can you give me my father's watch back now? I held out my hand to her, my gaze as calm as a dead sea. Yes, I couldn't stay in New York anymore. I never planned to. Dignity and face didn't matter. Survival was the hardest part. Clara stared at my hand, at the mottled scars and calluses in my palm. Her eyes grew red, her lips pressed into a tight, thin line. So you'll always be a liar, won't you? Miss Thorne, I don't quite understand what you mean. You were the one who shamelessly chased me and gave me this watch. You were the one who said once I put it on, I could never take it off. And now you want it back? What? Does the world revolve around you? The watch was expensive, but Clara could easily buy 10 of them. There was no reason for her to keep something from someone she hated. The only reason was that her resentment for me ran too deep, and she wanted to make things difficult. Miss Thorne, if you're still angry about the past, I can apologize to you in the same way. Julian. Clara suddenly seemed to lose her composure. Can't you understand plain English? Why is it that you get to love me when you want and stop loving me when you want? What right do you have to come and go as you please in my life? Look closely. I'm getting engaged to Noah, and we're getting married. When that day comes, Julian, it will be too late for regrets. But why should I have regrets? Or perhaps you're the one who can't understand. I've already given up on her. I don't want her anymore. It's not a game of hard to get, nor is it a tantrum born of grievance. It's a genuine, complete letting go, a point of no return. Miss Thorne, you're overthinking it. I sincerely wish you two a long and happy life together. Clara let out a cold laugh. She took the watch from her wrist, opened her hand, and let it fall to the floor. Take your thing and get out, Julian. Don't let me see you again. Fine. I squatted down and picked up the watch. The hands were no longer moving. I held it in my hands for a long moment before looking up at Clara. Clara, my voice was low, but the slap I delivered was with all my might. My palm burned, and my whole body trembled. Clara! Noah cried out in shock. The room fell silent. I let out a breath and smiled, carefully putting the watch away, and left without another moment's hesitation. Long after I was gone, the silence in the room remained. Do you think Julian is serious? I think so too. It doesn't seem like he's acting. His hands were pretty beat up. You know, thinking about it, he never did anything truly terrible. He was just too in love with Clara. Were we a bit too harsh? The friends looked at Clara. She touched her slightly swollen cheek, her eyes following Julian's retreating figure as if she were expecting something. But when Julian walked out that door, the light in her eyes completely dimmed. After taking my mother to the hospital for her usual treatment, she fell into a quiet sleep. I held the watch, knowing my mother would want it back when she woke up, so I decided to get it repaired. As I left the room, I saw Lila. She was sitting there looking at her phone. She looked up when she heard me come out. I just spoke with the doctor. Your mother's condition can improve with systematic treatment. I lowered my eyes. I know, but we can't afford it right now. I can help you with the money. I looked up sharply. But Lila, I have no way of paying you back. I already owed her. Owing 10,000 was the same as owing 1,000,000. Lila stood up and walked over to me. Let's get something to eat first. It wasn't the same at all. I could work hard and pay back 10,000. 1,000,000 was something I couldn't even imagine. But Lila, if I owe too much, I really can't pay it back. Then pay it back slowly. There's no rush. But I was frantic. 10,000 cost me 5 times. 1,000,000 would be 50 times. I couldn't imagine having to be with Lila that many times. But, no buts, Julian. I'm the creditor now. Fine. I had to shut up. Lila took me to eat. She had something urgent come up, so she had her driver take me to get the watch repaired. I don't know if it was my imagination, but Lila seemed to be in a bad mood, her attitude toward me growing colder. We didn't see each other for the next few days. My mother was admitted to the hospital and began intensive treatment. I didn't let myself be idle, continuing my busy schedule of part-time jobs. I heard that Clara and Noah's engagement had been postponed, but no one knew for how long. Lila had returned to Los Angeles for a few days. That's where she had made her fortune, and most of her business was there. She had a new project developing in New York, which was why she had been back. Lila had terminated my lease on the old rental, so I had been staying at her place in the city. Her social and personal life seemed very clean and simple, and because of that, I had the most peaceful and quiet 2 months I'd had in a long time. I finished my shift at 11 and grabbed the cheapest sandwich I could find on the way home. I was so exhausted that I threw myself onto the sofa the moment I walked in, not even noticing the single floor lamp that was on or Lila leaning against a single armchair, clearly drunk. By the time I realized something was off, Lila was already unsteadily on her feet and walking toward me. Julian, she gently kicked my dangling leg, her drunken eyes hazy as she looked at me. Don't you think you deserve to be punished? Punished for what? I was completely bewildered, staring at her. Lila leaned in, her faint scent of alcohol enveloping me. Not a single call or text. Have you forgotten that I'm your creditor? Lila kicked me again, very lightly. Julian, I'm going to give you a physical punishment tonight. I was a bit stunned. A physical punishment? What kind of physical punishment? Lila reached out and gently cupped my chin. She kissed me lightly at first, then with increasing force. You idiot. Lila suddenly laughed. A genuine, open laugh I had rarely seen. Even when we were young, she was always composed and serious. Now that we were older, she was even more mature and steady. I had almost never seen any strong emotion on her face, but now, she was smiling so broadly that her eyes crinkled, the faint light swimming in her pupils like a pool of gentle contentment. I was captivated. I never knew she could look like this. When she smiled, the only word that came to mind was stunning. Lila leaned in and kissed me again. Julian, you are a first-class fool. Yeah, I'm a fool. You don't have to keep reminding me. I looked down, avoiding her gentle gaze, not wanting to foolishly fall for it again. Let's go to bed. Let me teach you a proper lesson. The next morning, when I woke up, Lila was still there. You should stop working those part-time jobs for a while. Why? Didn't you used to work at your father's company? I laughed. I did, but what do you think I was capable of doing back then? My father just wanted to keep me busy, make me do something productive. I was his only son. The Carter family business was supposed to be mine someday. I couldn't be completely clueless. But now, all of that is gone, so it doesn't matter anymore. You can handle some basic office work, can't you? I suppose so. I did do a proper 2-month internship after all. You can start by working for me. Why? No reason. Consider it part of paying off your debt. With that reason, I couldn't refuse. A debtor has no right to choose. Get ready. You'll start coming to work with me tomorrow. Lila saw me sitting on the bed, my hair a mess, and she actually walked over and tidied it for me. Julian, there's something I need to make clear to you. What is it? No matter what, you're my person now. A strange chill entered Lila's eyes. If someone bullies you, it's my face, Lila's face, that you're embarrassing. Got it. No one's been bullying me. If being humiliated and beaten doesn't count, then what does? A sudden sting filled my nose, and I almost burst into tears. So she knew everything. But what did it have to do with her? Even if I were humiliated and beaten, she should have felt vindicated. If anyone is going to bully you, it will only be me. Lila looked at my reddened eyes with a hint of helplessness. I say a few words to you, and you're about to cry. I'm not talking. The tears kept falling. All right, Julian. Our past, it's all wiped clean. She leaned down, her warm lips pressing against the corner of my eye. Is it wiped clean? I knew Lila was a woman of her word, but while she could let go of the past, I couldn't clear my conscience. I would probably never forget how, because of Clara, to make her happy, I had broadcast Lila's love letter to the entire school, and I had forced Lila to write that letter according to my wishes. I had rejected her when she first confessed to me, but later, at the urging of Clara's friends, I had deliberately sought her out and told her that if she wrote me a serious love letter, I would consider her. The letter was mostly dictated by me, written in Lila's hand. In it, I made her debase herself to an extreme degree, even writing, "Julian, as long as I can be with you, I'm willing to be your little dog." When that letter was read over the school's PA system, the young Lila stood amidst a sea of strange looks, her face deathly pale. And I, who had been laughing along with Clara and her friends at first, couldn't laugh anymore by the end. I still remembered the last look Lila gave me. There was no hatred, just a profound, unsettling calmness like the deep sea. I regretted it instantly, but my ridiculous pride kept me from ever saying I was sorry. The night Clara and Noah broke up for good, she was drinking with a few friends at a club. After a few rounds, someone suddenly blurted out, "Holy crap, you guys, look what I just saw. Isn't that Lila? That manipulative girl who used to have a crush on Julian." The phone was eventually passed to Clara. On the screen was an 8-second video. In it, a beautiful, capable woman in a white business suit bore a faint resemblance to her younger self, and the young man in a black suit beside her. Clara would recognize him even if he were reduced to ashes. They looked like a boss and her subordinate. But when they got into the car, Julian protectively shielded her, and Lila smiled at him with a certain tenderness. No wonder Julian's been so tough lately. He's got a new backer. But he was so cruel to Lila back then, for Clara's sake. Isn't he afraid she'll get revenge? I heard Lila is a big deal in Los Angeles now. So why did she come back to New York? It couldn't be for Julian, could it? Julian is so poor now. Lila could play him like a fiddle. But they don't look like she's about to get revenge in the video. You guys don't get it. Give him a little taste of sweetness, a little hope, and then crush him, send him falling from the clouds. That kind of revenge is much more interesting. Everyone chatted on, but Clara remained silent. Clara, what do you think? If Lila is really going to get revenge on Julian, should we warn him? Clara suddenly let out a cold laugh. She pushed the phone away, her voice chillingly cold. What's it to you? And what's it to me? Lila wants revenge, let her have it. Even if she kills him, it has nothing to do with me. Clara, that's a bit much. Yeah, Julian was annoying before, but he's pretty pathetic now. I just found out recently, some of those sleazy guys from the Shaw family were after him before, but he fought back hard and got beaten up pretty badly. He deserves it, Clara said, but her eyes were turning red. He debased himself by getting involved with that trash. Why should I care? But in truth, she had been waiting for Julian to come to her, to ask for her help. But he never did. He would rather deal with those animals than come to her. Didn't he deserve it? Just like now, he was foolishly walking right into Lila's trap, seeking his own destruction. What did it have to do with her? If he had just come back to her like before, admitted his mistake, she, despite her dislike for him, wouldn't have abandoned him for old times' sake. But she never expected Julian to be so resolute this time. He was completely unmoved, even by her engagement to Noah. That day when he was forced to kneel and apologize, he had actually done it without any resistance. The fire of frustration in Clara's heart burned hotter and hotter. Perhaps it was the alcohol, but she couldn't sit still any longer and left the room. I never expected to see Clara again, let alone sitting so calmly across from her at a table. Julian, did you know Lila has a fiancé in Los Angeles? Arranged by her family. Clara's directness surprised me, but then I thought, she was 2 years older than me and successful. It was normal for her to be at an age for marriage. From your expression, you've been kept in the dark. What are you trying to say? Her reason for coming to New York? I think you can guess some of it. Julian, as a woman, I know how a woman's mind works. Take my advice and leave her before it's too late. You also think she's going to get revenge on me, don't you? Clara looked at me with pity. Julian, no one can forget that kind of humiliation. I know. I looked at her calmly. I was the one who was terribly wrong back then. So even if she gets her revenge, I'll accept it. Julian, If there's nothing else, I should get back to work. I stood up to leave. Clara grabbed my wrist, her expression a little awkward. Julian, we've known each other for so many years. I can't just watch you walk into a fire. How about this? We get engaged as we planned before. After all, only my family and I can protect you. And whatever you owe Lila, we'll pay her back with money. I pulled my hand away forcefully. Do you think she looks like she needs money? No one has too much money. If she's still not willing, I can have someone give her a good deal on her business in New York. Clara, why are you doing this? You hate me so much. Shouldn't you be happy to see me miserable? And if you're getting engaged to me, what about your precious Noah? It was laughable. The person she once loved so deeply, she could break up with just like that. And the person she once hated so much, she wished he were dead, she now wanted to marry. I really didn't understand, and didn't want to understand people like her. We broke up, Julian. We're completely over. I was wrong about what happened before. I only just found out that Noah lied to me. You never bullied him. Clara's gaze was intense as she looked at me. Julian, will you consider my proposal? I didn't answer. I just picked up the glass of water in front of me and threw it in her face. Clara, I don't take back garbage. Julian, you're always so stupid and stubborn. Clara wiped the water from her face, her eyes filled with anger. You have to hit rock bottom before you regret it, don't you? Does it have anything to do with you? Julian, you loved me for 7 years, chased me for 7 years. I know what you want, and I'm willing to marry you now. I let out a very soft laugh. Clara, if you could turn back time to the moment my father took his last breath and say those words, maybe I would consider it. But you can't. So there is absolutely no possibility between us. Julian. Clara tried to grab me, but I dodged her again. You like Lila, don't you? Clara's smile was bleak. I saw you the other day at that party with Lila. The way you looked at her was the same way you used to look at me a long time ago. You're wrong. I raised an eyebrow at her. It's not the same. Because a man always has a special feeling for his first woman. What did you say? Clara was stunned. But I paid her no more attention and strode out of the cafe. There was still an hour left of work. Lila was probably busy, but I had a question for her. Mr. Carter, you're finally back. Ms. Vance was looking for you earlier. When she heard you were out meeting a friend, she asked what friend. She seemed really unhappy. Mr. Carter, you should be careful when you go in there. I was surprised. I had only been gone for half an hour, and Lila had happened to be looking for me, even though she was in a meeting before. Okay, thank you. I'll go right now. I took a deep breath, straightened my wrinkled shirt, and hurried to Lila's office. When I knocked and entered, she didn't even look up from her work. I stood there for a full half hour before I couldn't take it anymore. Ms. Vance, did you need me for something? Lila's hand paused. She looked up at me for a second before going back to her work. Lila, if you don't need anything, then I have something to ask you. At that, Lila put down her pen. She leaned back in her chair, looking at me indifferently. What is it? Do you have a fiancé? I didn't want to beat around the bush. Being a third wheel was completely different from paying off a debt to a single creditor. Who told you that? I faltered for a moment before I could answer. Lila let out a cold laugh. What? Your ex-fiancé cheats on her new fiancé and now wants to sling mud at me. I was a bit confused. Took me a moment to understand what she meant. So you don't have a fiancé? No. Lila's gaze grew even colder. Julian, I don't have the time or energy to waste on men. Besides, you alone are enough to keep me busy. How do I keep you busy? Lila looked at me for a long moment before slowly saying, one word, you're dense. Lila, what's the rush? I'm not finished. A hint of a smile touched Lila's eyes. And dealing with you alone is already exhausting enough. You're the one who's insatiable. The words were out before I could stop them. Yes, I'm insatiable. So you'd better not complain about being tired. Tonight, you're going to satisfy me. And tonight, you're going to write me a love letter in bed. You'll write exactly what I tell you to write. Are you going to read it at a company meeting, Lila? If you think that kind of content won't damage your reputation, go ahead. What kind of content? I was a little confused. Back then, I had only forced her to write a lot of fawning, sycophantic things. Julian Carter loves Lila. Julian Carter loves sleeping with Lila. Julian Carter wants to sleep with Lila every night. Julian Carter also wants to do it with Lila in the office, in the study. Lila, you're insane. I lunged forward to cover her mouth. So are you going to write it or do it? I thought for a moment. Writing it would be too humiliating. We were going to do it anyway. So doing it was the better option. Let's do it. Good. Then we'll start with the fourth sentence. A faint smile played on Lila's lips. Julian, kiss me. I slowly leaned down. As my lips touched hers, Lila whispered, Julian, I forgive you. I still like you more than I did 7 years ago. Lila, don't say anything. Wait until one day you say the words I want to hear, then tell me. I shook my head slightly, looking at her stubbornly. Lila, I have to say this. I'm sorry for all the stupid, hurtful things the old Julian did to you. I never blamed you. I know, but all these years, whenever I thought of you, I regretted it. My eyes started to sting. Lila, I also have to thank you. Don't thank me, Julian. Just love me, okay? And if you don't really love me, at least don't hate me. Lila, I think I do like you. You were my first woman, and you're really beautiful. You're completely my type.